The shuttle was small and old. It made sounds that worried the pilot but did not care about the sounds. She cared about what waited for her at the end of this journey. The Galactic Council flagship floated in the darkness of space like a city made of light. It was the biggest thing had ever seen, and she had seen many big things in her 32 years of life. She pressed her face close to the window like a child. The flagship was called the Eternal Voice, and it carried representatives from over 200 different species. Today, it would carry its first human. Checked her uniform one more time. The dark blue fabric was simple, but it was clean and pressed. On her chest, she wore the flag of Earth and the symbol of the United Human Coalition. Her black hair was tied back in a tight knot. Her boots were polished until they shined. She wanted to look perfect. She needed to look perfect. The pilot, an old man named, looked back at her with tired eyes. He had been flying diplomatic shuttles for 20 years, but this was his first time going to the Eternal Voice. "Nervous?" he asked. Shook her head, no, excited. Laughed softly. "You are a bad liar, Lieutenant." She smiled at that. Yes, she was nervous. Her hands were wet with sweat and her heart was beating too fast, but she was also excited. This was the moment humanity had been waiting for since first contact 3 years ago. The aliens had finally agreed to let one human visit the council. Just one. And was that human? The shuttle moved closer to the flagship. Could see the docking bay now. It was a huge opening in the side of the ship, lit with blue and white lights. Small ships moved in and out like insects around a hive. Some of them were beautiful, with smooth curves and glowing engines. Others were strange and ugly, built by species that did not care about beauty. "Docking in 2 minutes," said. "Remember what they told you in training. Do not touch anything unless they say you can. Do not eat anything unless they say it is safe. And do not make any promises." Nodded. She had spent 6 months in training for this mission. She knew all the rules. She knew the names and customs of 50 different species. She knew which ones were friendly and which ones were dangerous. She knew which ones thought humans were interesting and which ones thought humans were insects. The shuttle entered the docking bay. The blue lights washed over them and felt a strange feeling in her stomach. The artificial gravity of the flagship was different from Earth gravity. It felt lighter, softer. She had expected this. The training had prepared her for it, but feeling it was different from reading about it. The shuttle landed with a soft sound, turned off the engines and looked at her one more time. "Good luck, Lieutenant, make us proud." Stood up from her seat. The lighter gravity made her feel strange, like she might float away if she was not careful. She took a moment to adjust, then walked to the shuttle door. The door opened with a hiss and stepped out into the docking bay. The air smelled different here. It was clean, almost too clean, with a faint smell of something sweet. The floor was made of a dark metal that did not recognize. It was smooth under her boots, and it made a soft ringing sound with each step she took. A group of aliens waited for her near the shuttle. There were 5 of them, all from different species. The one in front was tall and thin, with pale blue skin and large black eyes. His arms were long and his fingers were even longer. He wore a robe of silver and gold, and he looked at with something that might have been curiosity or might have been disgust. "Welcome to the Eternal Voice," he said. His voice was soft and musical. "I am Bell. I am the speaker for the Vin people and the current leader of the Galactic Council." Bowed her head slightly. "Thank you for having me. I am Lieutenant of the United Human Coalition. I bring greetings from Earth and all its people." Bell made a sound that might have been a laugh. It was hard to tell with aliens. "Yes, Earth, the small blue world. We have heard much about it." The other aliens moved closer. One of them was short and round, with orange skin and no visible eyes. Another was covered in silver fur and walked on 4 legs. The third had green scales and a long tail. The fourth was almost human-looking, but her skin was purple and she had 4 arms. They all looked at with great interest. She felt like an animal in a zoo. "She is so small," the orange one said. His voice was deep and rough. "I thought humans were bigger." "She is average size for her species," Bell said. "Humans are small creatures. They come from a weak gravity world." Wanted to correct him, but she stayed quiet. This was not the time to argue. She was here to make friends, not enemies. "Weak gravity?" the purple female asked. She leaned closer to, studying her with 4 yellow eyes. "How weak?" "About 9.8 meters per second squared," said. "We call it 1G." The aliens looked at each other. Some of them made sounds that might have been laughter. "That is very weak," the green one said. His tail swished back and forth. "My world has twice that. No wonder humans are so fragile." Kept her face calm. She had expected this. The training had warned her that aliens often looked down on humans. They thought Earth was a small, unimportant world with weak gravity and weak people. They did not know the truth. Not yet. "Come," Bell said. "We will take you to your quarters. The welcome feast is tonight. You will meet the rest of the council there." They walked through the docking bay and into a long hallway. The walls were made of the same dark metal as the floor, but they were covered with beautiful paintings and carvings. Each one showed a different world, a different species, a different story. Wanted to stop and look at them, but Belle walked fast and she did not want to fall behind. The other aliens walked around her, still studying her. The silver-furred one sniffed at her and made a face. "She smells strange," he said, "heavy, like metal and salt." "That is the smell of a gravity-bound species," Bell explained. "Their bodies are dense with minerals. They need them to survive in their crushing environment." Almost smiled at that. Crushing environment, if only they knew. They reached her quarters after a few minutes of walking. The room was simple but comfortable. There was a bed that looked too soft, a table with some kind of computer on it, and a window that showed the stars outside. The gravity here felt even lighter than in the docking bay. "Rest now," Bell said. "A servant will come for you when the feast begins. Try not to break anything." He made that laughing sound again. "I know how clumsy low-gravity species can be in different environments." Bowed again. "Thank you for your kindness." The aliens left and the door closed behind them, stood alone in the quiet room. She could hear them talking as they walked away. They thought she could not hear them, but human ears were better than they knew. "Such a small creature," one of them said. "I do not understand why we agreed to this." "Politics," Bell answered. "We must be seen as welcoming, even to the weak ones." "She will not last a week here. The gravity alone will make her sick." "Let her try. It will be amusing to watch." Their voices faded away, walked to the window and looked out at the stars. Her hands were shaking, but not from fear, from anger. They thought she was weak. They thought humans were fragile little creatures from a soft little world. They were wrong, so very wrong. Smiled to herself. The feast tonight would be interesting. She would show them respect and patience. She would follow all the rules and say all the right things, but somewhere inside her she felt a fire burning. They had laughed at Earth. They had laughed at her. And soon, very soon, they would learn why that was a mistake. She sat down on the too soft bed and closed her eyes. The lighter gravity made her feel like she was floating. It was strange, but not unpleasant. In fact, it felt nice. Like a weight had been lifted from her shoulders. A weight she had carried her entire life without knowing it. For the first time since leaving Earth, let herself relax. The journey had been long and hard, but she was finally here. The first human on the Galactic Council flagship. The first human to meet the leaders of 200 species. The first human to show the galaxy what Earth really was. The feast hall was the most beautiful room had ever seen. The ceiling was made of clear glass, and through it she could see the stars stretching out forever. The walls were covered with gold and silver, and great chandeliers hung from above, filling the room with soft, warm light. Long tables were arranged in a circle, and on those tables was more food than had seen in her entire life. There were fruits in colors she did not have names for. There were meats from animals she had never heard of. There were drinks that glowed and bubbled and changed color as she watched. The smell was overwhelming, a mix of sweet and sour and strange that made her head spin. Hundreds of aliens filled the room. They sat at the tables, they stood in groups talking, they moved around greeting each other with strange gestures and stranger sounds. Had studied many species in her training, but seeing them all together was different. It was like standing in the middle of a dream. A servant had come to her room an hour ago. It was a small creature with gray skin and big ears, and it had led her through the hallways to this place. Now she stood at the entrance, alone and small, watching the feast unfold before her. Bell appeared beside her. She had not heard him approach. His movements were smooth and silent, like water flowing over rocks. "Lieutenant," he said, "welcome to the grand feast. This is where the council comes together to eat and talk and build friendship. Tonight, we celebrate your arrival." Looked at him. "You are celebrating me." "We are celebrating the inclusion of your species in galactic affairs. A small step, perhaps, but an important one." Bell gestured toward the room. "Come, I will introduce you to some of the other council members." They walked into the feast hall together. Aliens turned to look at them as they passed, could feel their eyes on her, studying her, judging her. She kept her back straight and her face calm. She would not show them weakness. Bell led her to a group of aliens near the center of the room. They were all tall, much taller than. The shortest of them was at least 2 meters high. They looked down at her with expressions she could not read. "This is the human," Bell said. "Lieutenant, she represents the species called humanity." The aliens made various sounds. Some of them seemed curious. Others seemed amused. One of them, a creature with yellow skin and a long neck, bent down to look at her more closely. "So small," he said. "I have seen insects bigger than this." Smiled politely. "Size is not everything." The aliens laughed at that. It was not a kind laugh. "True," the yellow one said, "but strength is important, and your species has very little of that." Another alien stepped forward. This one had red scales and sharp teeth that showed when he spoke. "I have studied your world. Earth, you call it. A tiny planet with weak gravity and thin atmosphere. How did your species even survive?" "We are adaptable," said. "We learn to use tools and work together." "Tools," the red one repeated. He made a sound of disgust. "The excuse of the weak. My people do not need tools. We are born with claws that can cut through metal and scales that can stop bullets." "Impressive," said. She kept her voice friendly and calm. Bell watched this exchange with interest. He seemed to enjoy seeing struggle against the mockery of the other aliens. His large black eyes never left her face. "Come," he said finally. "Let us eat. You must be hungry after your long journey." They moved to one of the tables. Was given a seat between Bell and a large alien covered in thick brown fur. The furry alien smelled like wet earth and old leaves. He did not look at her or speak to her. He simply ate, shoving large pieces of meat into his wide mouth. Bell pointed to various dishes on the table. "This is safe for humans, and this, but do not eat that one. It will poison you." Nodded and took small amounts of the safe foods. They tasted strange but not bad. She ate slowly and carefully, watching everything around her. The feast continued. Aliens talked and laughed and argued. Music played from somewhere, a strange melody that had no rhythm could follow. Servants moved between the tables, bringing more food and drink. As the night went on, more aliens came to look at. They asked her questions about Earth, about humans, about why she was here. Most of the questions were rude. Some were curious. A few were almost friendly. One alien, a female with silver skin and wings like a butterfly, seemed genuinely interested in humans. "I have heard that your species can run for very long distances," she said. "Is this true?" Nodded. "Yes. We evolved as persistent hunters. We would chase our prey until it collapsed from exhaustion." The silver female tilted her head. That is interesting. My people can fly, but only for short distances. We do not have the energy for long journeys. This surprised. In her training, she had learned that most species were specialists. They were very good at one thing but weak at others. Humans were different. They were not the best at anything, but they were good enough at everything. It was what had helped them survive. But before she could say more, Bell stood up from his seat. He raised a glass filled with glowing blue liquid. "Friends," he said, his voice carried across the hall, "tonight we welcome a new species to our gathering. The humans of Earth have sent us one of their own. Let us show her the strength and glory of the Galactic Council." The aliens raised their glasses and made sounds of agreement. "In honor of our guest," Bell continued, "I would like to share some facts about her world. Earth is a small planet, third from its sun. It has one moon and many oceans. Its gravity is very low, only 9.8 meters per second squared." He paused and looked at. His black eyes were cold. "To put this in perspective, my has gravity of 4.2 meters per second squared. Earth has more than twice that. But compared to the rest of the galaxy, this is still very weak. Most species here come from worlds with gravity of 15 to 20 meters per second squared. Some come from worlds with gravity as high as 30. The aliens murmured among themselves, frowned. She had not known this. In her training, they had told her that Earth's gravity was average, but now she realized that this was wrong. Compared to the rest of the galaxy, Earth's gravity was. Wait. His mind raced. If Bell's world had gravity of only 4 meters per second squared, then it was less than half of Earth's gravity, and he had said Earth's gravity was weak compared to the galaxy. Something was not right. Because of their weak gravity, Bell continued, humans have soft bones and weak muscles. They cannot lift heavy objects or move quickly. They are fragile creatures who break easily. The aliens laughed. Some of them pointed at, others whispered to each other. Sat very still. She was beginning to understand. The aliens had made a mistake. A big mistake. They thought Earth's gravity was weak because it was less than some of the numbers they measured, but they had confused their own measurement systems. Or perhaps they had only studied certain parts of the galaxy. Whatever the reason, they were wrong. "On my world," the red-scaled alien called out, "we have a tradition. When a new species joins us, we test their strength. We make them carry a stone from one end of the hall to the other." The hall grew quiet. All eyes turned to. "The stone weighs 50 of your kilograms," the red one continued. "Most species can carry it easily, but I wonder if a human can even lift it." Looked at Bell. He was smiling. This had been planned. They wanted to embarrass her. They wanted to show everyone how weak humans were. She thought about refusing. She thought about making an excuse. But then she saw the way they were looking at her. They expected her to fail. They wanted her to fail. And suddenly felt very calm. "I would be happy to try," she said. The aliens cheered. Some of them clapped their hands or their claws or whatever they had. They thought this would be funny. They thought they would watch the little human struggle and fail. They had no idea what was about to happen. Bell led to a platform at the end of the hall. On the platform sat a large stone, dark and smooth. It was about the size of a basketball but much heavier. Next to it stood several aliens who would watch and judge. "The rules are simple," Bell said. "Lift the stone and carry it to the other platform." He pointed across the hall. The distance was about 50 meters. "You may take as long as you need. If you cannot lift the stone, you may admit defeat at any time." Nodded, she walked up to the stone and looked at it. 50 kilograms. On Earth, that was heavy but not impossible. She could lift 50 kilograms. She had done it many times in training. But here, in this light gravity, 50 kilograms would feel like. Smiled, now she understood everything. The aliens did not know. They had never been to Earth. They had only read numbers and made assumptions. They thought Earth's gravity was weak, so they thought humans were weak. But Earth's gravity was not weak. It was strong, stronger than most worlds in the galaxy, and humans had evolved in that strong gravity. Their bones were dense. Their muscles were powerful. They were built to carry weight that would crush most other species. The stone in front of her weighed 50 kilograms, but in Earth gravity regularly worked with weights twice that heavy. Her body was designed for a world that pulled on her with twice the force of this place. She reached down and grabbed the stone. It felt like nothing. Like a toy. Like a ball she might throw to a child. The hall went silent. Held the stone in her hands. It was smooth and cool against her palms. The weight was nothing, less than nothing. On Earth, she carried grocery bags heavier than this. She lifted weights at the gym that made this stone feel like a pebble. But she did not show her surprise. She kept her face calm and serious, as if the stone was indeed heavy. She wanted them to see. She wanted them to understand slowly, the way a sunrise comes over the mountains. The hall was silent. Every alien had stopped talking, stopped eating, stopped moving. They all watched the small human woman holding the ceremonial stone in her hands. Bell's black eyes were wide. His long fingers twitched at his sides. You lifted it." "Was I not supposed to?" asked innocently. The red-scaled alien pushed through the crowd. His sharp teeth were bared, and his tail thrashed behind him. She must have used a trick, some human technology hidden in her clothes. "I have nothing hidden," said. She was still holding the stone with both hands, but she did not need both hands. She did not even need one hand, really. She could probably hold it with 2 fingers, but she wanted to be careful. She wanted to see how far this went. "Carry it," Bell said. His voice was strange now, uncertain. "Carry it to the other platform. That is the challenge." Nodded, she started walking across the hall. The stone was easy to carry. It was like carrying a pillow. She had to pretend it was heavy, had to walk slowly and carefully, had to make it look like she was working hard. The aliens watched her every step. Some of them whispered to each other. Others just stared with open mouths. She reached the middle of the hall. The other platform was still 25 meters away. She could have run there. She could have carried the stone above her head with one hand, but she kept walking slowly, kept pretending. A young alien stepped in front of her. He was small for his species, with pale green skin and large round eyes. He looked scared. "How are you doing this?" he asked. "Your species is supposed to be weak. The data says your planet has low gravity. Your bones should be fragile. Your muscles should be thin." Stopped walking. She looked at the young alien with kindness in her eyes. He was not mocking her. He was genuinely confused. "What data did you study?" she asked. "The survey reports," he said, "from the probe we sent to your system 50 years ago." Thought about this. 50 years ago, humans had not known about the probe. They had not known about aliens at all. The probe must have studied Earth from a distance, measuring things, recording information. "What did the probe measure?" she asked. "Everything: atmospheric composition, ocean depth, land mass, gravity." The young alien tilted his head. Earth's gravity was measured at 9.8 meters per second squared. That is below the galactic average of 15. Now understood. Now everything made sense. The aliens had compared Earth's gravity to a galactic average. They had seen that Earth was below that average and assumed humans were weak. But they had not thought about what that gravity meant for the creatures who lived in it. 9.8 meters per second squared was strong, very strong, stronger than most of the species here could handle. Bell had said his world had gravity of only 4.2. That meant Earth had more than twice the gravity of Bell's world. And humans had evolved in that gravity. Every day, every moment, they fought against a force that was trying to pull them down. Their bones grew thick to support the weight. Their muscles grew strong to move against the pull. Their hearts grew powerful to pump blood up against the constant drag. Compared to these aliens, Humans were not weak. They were incredibly strong. The data was not wrong, said to the young alien. But your interpretation was. Earth's gravity is not low, it is high, very high compared to most worlds where intelligent life evolves. She started walking again. The other platform was close now. The aliens parted before her like water around a rock. Nobody tried to stop her. Nobody said anything. She reached the platform and set the stone down gently. It made a soft thud against the metal surface. The hall erupted. Aliens shouted and argued with each other. Some of them seemed angry. Others seemed scared. A few seemed excited, like they had just seen something amazing and could not wait to tell others about it. Bell pushed through the crowd until he stood in front of. His pale blue face had changed color. It was darker now, almost purple. Did not know if this meant he was angry or embarrassed or something else. This proves nothing, Bell said. You carried a stone. Any species can carry a stone. Then why did you challenge me to do it? Asked. Bell did not answer. His long fingers curled into fists. The red-scaled alien appeared next to him. His eyes were narrow with suspicion. We need to test her again, properly this time, with real weight. I agree, said another alien, the one with silver fur. The stone is a ceremonial object. Perhaps it is lighter than we thought. Spread her hands. Test me however you want. I have nothing to hide. This seemed to make the aliens even more upset. They had expected her to refuse. They had expected her to make excuses. Her calm confidence was confusing them. Bell spoke quickly to the other council members in a language did not understand. They argued for several minutes. Finally, he turned back to her. We will conduct proper tests tomorrow, he said. Scientific tests. We will measure your strength, your speed, your endurance. We will see exactly what humans are capable of. I look forward to it, said. The feast continued after that, but the mood had changed. The aliens no longer looked at with amusement or pity. They looked at her with something else. Curiosity, caution, maybe even a little fear. She returned to her seat and ate quietly. The food tasted better now. Everything seemed brighter and sharper. She had done something tonight. She had planted a seed of doubt in their minds. The silver-winged female sat down next to her. Her big eyes sparkled with interest. That was impressive, she said. I have never seen anyone carry the stone so easily. Even the strongest species struggle with it. Looked at her. What is your name? Myra, the female said. I am from the world called We Are a Peaceful Species. We do not fight or compete, but we watch, and we learn. What have you learned tonight? Myra smiled. It was a gentle smile, almost human. I have learned that the galaxy knows very little about your species, and I have learned that this is probably a good thing for you. Considered this, what do you mean? The Council fears strength, Myra explained. They create rules and limits to keep powerful species under control. If they had known how strong humans truly are, they might never have allowed you to join. This was troubling. Had not thought about this. She had been so focused on proving herself that she had not considered what might happen after. Do you think they will try to hurt us? She asked. Myra shook her head. No, the Council does not hurt. They control, they limit, they make rules. She paused. But you have already shown them something they cannot control, and that will make them very uncomfortable. Looked around the hall. The aliens were still watching her. Their eyes followed her every movement. She could feel their attention like a weight on her shoulders. But this weight was nothing compared to Earth's gravity. This weight was nothing compared to what she had carried every day of her life. Let them watch, said. Let them test me. Let them see exactly what humans are. Myra tilted her head. You are not afraid. No, I spent my whole life being underestimated. First by my own people because I was a woman in a military full of men. Then by the aliens because I come from what they think is a weak world. Smiled. I have learned that being underestimated is a gift. It means people never see you coming. The feast ended late. Servants began clearing the tables, and aliens drifted away to their quarters. Bell did not speak to again. He left quickly, surrounded by other council members who whispered urgently to each other. The young green alien approached her before she left. His eyes were still full of questions. "My name is," he said. "I study other species. I would like to learn more about humans if you would allow it." Smiled at him. "I would like that. Come find me tomorrow after the tests." Nodded eagerly. "I will, thank you, Lieutenant." She walked back to her quarters alone. The hallways were quiet now, and her footsteps echoed against the metal walls. The gravity still felt light and strange, like walking on clouds. She thought about the day. She thought about the mockery and the challenge and the stone. She thought about Belle's angry face and Myra's warning and curiosity. Tomorrow would bring more challenges. The council would test her. They would push her. They would try to find her limits. But was not worried. She knew her limits. She had trained for years to understand exactly what her body could do, and she knew that the aliens had no idea what they were dealing with. Earth was not a weak world, and humans were not weak creatures. Tomorrow, the whole galaxy would begin to understand this. The testing chamber was cold and white. Machines lined the walls, blinking with lights and making soft sounds. In the center of the room stood a platform surrounded by measurement devices. Had never seen technology like this before. It was far beyond anything humans had created. Bell stood near the entrance with a group of scientists. They were all from different species, but they all wore the same serious expressions. They held data pads and spoke in low voices, preparing for the tests. "Step onto the platform," Bell said. His voice was flat and cold. Walked to the platform and stood in the center. The machines around her hummed to life. Lights scanned her body from every angle. "We will begin with basic measurements," one of the scientists said. He was a short creature with gray skin and 8 eyes. Height, weight, bone density, muscle mass. The machines worked for several minutes. Numbers appeared on screens around the room. The scientists watched with growing confusion. "This cannot be right," the gray scientist said. "Her bone density is 3 times the galactic average." "Her muscle mass is higher than a warrior," another scientist added. He was tall and thin, with scales that changed color as he spoke. "And her body weight, she weighs nearly twice what her size would suggest." Bell stepped forward. His black eyes scanned the numbers on the screens. "How is this possible? Her world has weak gravity." "Spoke up, may I explain something?" The scientists looked at her with surprise. They had expected her to stand quietly while they studied her like an animal. "Please," Bell said. His voice was tight with frustration. "You measured Earth's gravity correctly," began. 9.8 meters per second squared, but you compared it to the wrong standard. The galactic average includes many worlds where gravity is much higher. Worlds with no intelligent life. Worlds where nothing complex can survive. She paused to let this sink in. Earth's gravity is actually very high for a world with intelligent life. Most species that develop technology come from worlds with gravity between 3 and 6 meters per second squared. Below that, there is not enough pressure to form complex geology. Above that, the energy cost of movement becomes too high for large brains to evolve. The scientists looked at each other. Some of them began checking their data pads, searching for information to confirm or deny what she was saying. "Humans evolved in gravity that is nearly twice what most intelligent species experience," continued. "Our bodies had to adapt. Our bones became dense to support our weight. Our muscles became strong to move against the constant pull. Our hearts became powerful to pump blood against the pressure." The gray scientist's 8 eyes blinked rapidly. This would explain the measurements, but why did we not know this? Our surveys should have identified Earth as a high-gravity world. "Your surveys looked at raw numbers," said. They did not consider the biological context. A number means nothing without understanding what it means for the creatures who live with it. Bell was silent for a long moment. Then he made a gesture to the scientists. Continue with the physical tests. The next hour was filled with challenges. They asked to lift weights. She lifted everything they gave her, even weights that would have crushed most council species. They asked her to run on a machine that measured her speed and endurance. She ran faster than their predictions and did not tire. They asked her to squeeze a device that measured grip strength. She squeezed it so hard that the device broke. She destroyed it, the color-changing scientist said. He sounded almost afraid. That device was designed to measure the grip of and she crushed it like paper. With each test, the numbers grew more alarming. The scientists whispered urgently to each other. Some of them left the room, presumably to report what they were seeing. Finally, Bell raised a hand. Enough, we have seen enough. Stepped off the platform. Her body felt good, energized. In the light gravity of the ship, she felt like she could do anything. Every movement was easy. Every effort required only a fraction of what she was used to. I do not understand, Bell said. He was speaking more to himself than to her. If your species is this strong, why did you hide it? Why did you let us mock you? I did not hide anything, said. You never asked the right questions. You assumed you knew what Earth was, and you never bothered to check if your assumptions were correct. Bell's face darkened. This changes things. The council will need to discuss this. Discuss what? The implications. If humans are this strong, there are concerns, security concerns. Felt a cold feeling in her stomach. Myra had warned her about this. The council feared strength. They controlled and limited powerful species. We are not a threat, said carefully. We want to join the galactic community peacefully. We want to trade, to learn, to grow together. What you want and what you are capable of are different things, Bell replied. A peaceful species with the strength of a warship is still a danger. The scientists began packing up their equipment. The tests were over but could feel that something else was just beginning. A new phase of her mission, a phase she had not prepared for. The young green alien from the feast was waiting for her outside the testing chamber. His big round eyes were even bigger than usual. I heard the results, he said. Everyone is talking about it, the whole ship knows. Knows what exactly? That humans are heavy, that your species evolved in gravity that would crush most of us, that you are, he paused, searching for the right word, dangerous. Sighed, we are not dangerous, we are just different. I believe you, said, but many others do not. They are scared. They have never met a species like yours before. They walked together through the hallways. Aliens stopped and stared as passed. Before, they had looked at her with amusement. Now they looked at her with fear. She could see them pressing against the walls, trying to stay far away from her. This is not what I wanted, said quietly. I know, replied, but it is what you are. You cannot change what you are. They reached a large window that looked out into space. Stars sparkled against the endless black. Somewhere out there, Earth was spinning around its sun, carrying 8 billion humans who had no idea what was happening here. Tell me about your world, said. Tell me about Earth. Thought about home. She thought about the mountains and the oceans and the forests. She thought about the cities full of people and the quiet villages in the countryside. She thought about her family, her friends, her life before all of this. Earth is beautiful, she said. It has blue oceans and green forests and white clouds. It has deserts and jungles and frozen poles. It has more different environments than any other inhabited world we know of. And everything there lives in that strong gravity. Everything, the smallest insect and the largest whale, every plant, every animal, every human, we are all shaped by the weight of our world. Was quiet for a moment. Then he said, on my world we have a saying, the heaviest stone makes the strongest building. I think maybe humans are like that. Your heavy world made you strong. Smiled at him. Despite everything, she was glad to have met this curious young alien. He saw her as a person, not a threat. What will happen now? She asked. What will the council do? I do not know, admitted. They will argue and debate. They will make proposals and counter-proposals. It could take days or weeks, but eventually they will decide something. What options do they have? Counted on his long fingers. They could accept humans into the council with full rights. They could accept humans with restrictions and limitations. They could reject humans entirely and quarantine your world. Or, he hesitated. Or what? Or they could declare humans a threat to galactic peace and take action to neutralize that threat. The cold feeling in stomach grew stronger. You mean attack us? It has happened before. Species that were deemed too dangerous were reduced. Their populations were limited. Their technology was controlled. Their ability to leave their worlds was removed. Stared out at the stars. Somewhere in that vast darkness, her planet waited. Her people waited. They had no idea that their future was being decided by aliens who had never even visited Earth. I will not let that happen, she said. Looked at her with concern. What can you do? You are one human against a council of hundreds of species. I can show them who we really are, said. Not our strength, our character, our hearts. I can show them that humans are more than just heavy. We are dreamers and builders and lovers. We create art and music and stories. We care for each other. We help strangers. We protect the weak. She turned away from the window and faced. I need your help. I need to speak to the council before they make their decision. I need to show them that they do not need to fear us. His eyes widened. That is not usually allowed. Only council members can address the full assembly. Then help me find a way. You study other species. You must know the rules and customs. There must be some way for me to speak. Thought for a long moment. His face scrunched up with concentration. Then slowly, a smile spread across his green features. There is one way, he said. An ancient tradition. Any individual can address the council if they pass the trial of worth. It is a physical and mental challenge that proves a person has the character to speak. Then I will take this trial, said. Tell me what I need to do. Smile faded. The trial is dangerous. It was designed for the strongest species in the galaxy. Many who have attempted it did not survive. Thought about Earth. She thought about the weight of her world and the strength it had given her. She thought about her people, waiting for news, hopping for peace. I will survive, she said. I am human. The observation platform hung at the very top of the eternal voice. It was a circular deck made of reinforced metal and glass, designed to give the best view of the stars in any direction. Here, the most important decisions in galactic history had been announced. Here, treaties had been signed and wars had been declared. Today, the platform was filled with every member of the Galactic Council. Hundreds of aliens stood in rings around the center, watching and waiting. They had come to see the human complete the trial of worth. Most of them expected her to fail. Stood at the edge of the platform, looking out at the crowd. She had spent the last 3 days preparing for this moment. The trial had been brutal. She had been forced to solve complex puzzles while carrying heavy weights. She had been made to run through obstacle courses that tested every part of her body and mind. She had faced challenges that would have broken most species. But she had not broken. She had survived every test, and now she had earned the right to speak. Bell stepped forward from the crowd. His pale blue face was hard and cold. He did not want her to be here. He did not want her to speak. But the rules were clear, and not even the council leader could break them. The human has completed the trial of worth, Bell announced. His voice echoed across the platform. By ancient tradition, she has earned the right to address the council. We will hear her words. He stepped back and suddenly was alone in the center of the platform. Hundreds of alien eyes watched her. Some were curious, some were hostile, some were afraid. She took a deep breath and began to speak. 3 days ago, you laughed at me. You laughed at my world. You called Earth a weak place with weak gravity and weak people. You thought humans were fragile creatures who could barely lift their own weight. She paused and looked around at the crowd. Then you tested me. You measured my bones and my muscles and my strength. You saw numbers that frightened you. You realized that Earth is not weak. You realized that humans are not fragile, and suddenly your laughter turned to fear. The aliens shifted uncomfortably. Some of them looked away. Now you are deciding what to do with us. Some of you want to welcome us as equals. Some of you want to restrict us, control us, limit our growth. And some of you, she looked directly at Bell, some of you want to destroy us before we become a threat. Bell's face did not change, but his long fingers twitched. I am here to tell you that you are making the same mistake twice. First, you judged us by our gravity and decided we were weak. Now, you are judging us by our strength and deciding we are dangerous. Both times, you are seeing only a small part of what we are. Walked slowly across the platform. Her boots made soft sounds against the metal floor. The aliens watched her every movement. Let me tell you about humans. Yes, we are strong. Our world made us that way, but we are so much more than our strength. We are artists who paint beauty onto canvas. We are musicians who create songs that make us cry and laugh and dance. We are writers who tell stories that live for thousands of years. She stopped in the center of the platform. We are scientists who look at the stars and ask questions. We are doctors who heal the sick and comfort the dying. We are teachers who pass knowledge from one generation to the next. We are mothers and fathers who love their children more than their own lives. Her voice grew stronger. We have fought wars among ourselves, terrible wars that killed millions, but we have also built peace. We have learned from our mistakes. We have created systems of justice and cooperation that bring different peoples together. We are not perfect, but we are trying. Every day, we try to be better than we were yesterday. She looked dead in the crowd. The young alien was watching her with wide, hopeful eyes. You fear our strength, but strength is not good or evil by itself. It is a tool like any other. What matters is how we use it. And I promise you on behalf of all humanity that we will use our strength to build, not to destroy, to protect, not to conquer, to help, not to harm. The crowd was silent. No one moved. No one spoke. I am asking you to give us a chance. Not because we are weak and need your pity. Not because we are strong and you fear our anger, but because we have something to offer. We have creativity and determination and hope. We have ideas that you have never imagined. We have solutions to problems you have struggled with for centuries. She thought about Earth. She thought about all the humans who were waiting to hear what would happen, the children who dreamed of traveling to the stars, the scientists who wanted to learn from alien technology, the ordinary people who just wanted to know they had a place in this vast universe. Earth is not a weak world, said, but neither is it a threat. Earth is a gift, humans are a gift, and we want to share that gift with you. She stopped speaking. The silence stretched on for a long moment. Then Bell stepped forward. His face was still cold, but there was something different in his eyes, something that might have been doubt. Pretty words, he said, but words are easy. Actions are harder. How do we know you will keep your promises? Met his gaze. You cannot know for certain, just as we cannot know if you will keep your promises to us. Trust is always a risk, but it is the only way forward. Bell considered this. Then he turned to the crowd. The council will vote. Each species will have one voice. The question is simple. Should humans be accepted as full members of the Galactic Council with all rights and responsibilities? The voting took several hours. Each species had to discuss and decide. Messengers ran back and forth across the platform, carrying counts and opinions. Stood alone, waiting, watching. Finally, Bell called for silence. The votes have been counted, he announced. 147 species voted to accept humans as full members. 53 voted against. The motion passes. A wave of sound swept through the crowd. Some aliens cheered. Others made sounds of disappointment or anger, but the decision was made. Felt tears forming in her eyes. She had done it. She had won. Bell approached her. His expression was unreadable. You have achieved something remarkable, human, but know that many will be watching you, waiting for you to prove them right about your species. Then we will prove them wrong, said. Bell made a sound that might have been a laugh. We will see. He turned and walked away. Other aliens began to approach, offering congratulations or simply staring at her with curiosity, pushed through the crowd and grabbed her hand with his long fingers. You did it, he said. You actually did it. Myra appeared beside them, her silver wings folding against her back. That was the most impressive speech I have ever heard. You changed minds today, something I did not think was possible. Smiled at them both. I could not have done it without your help. Both of you believed in me when no one else did. The crowd began to thin as aliens returned to their normal duties. The historic moment was over, but its effects would ripple through the galaxy for generations to come. Walked to the edge of the observation platform. Through the glass floor she could see the stars below her. Somewhere in that vast expanse was a small blue planet called Earth, her home, her people. She took a step onto the glass floor. The reinforced material cracked under her boot. Spiderweb lines spread out from where she stood. The aliens nearby gasped and jumped back. Looked down at the crack, then she looked up at the watching aliens. She smiled. Sorry, she said. I forgot how heavy I am. The crack was a reminder. Even here, at this moment of triumph, her strength was visible. The observation platform had been built to hold hundreds of aliens. It had stood for thousands of years without damage, and she had cracked it with a single step. But the aliens did not run away this time. They did not look at her with fear. Instead, some of them laughed. Real laughter, not mocking but genuine amusement. Perhaps we should build stronger floors, Myra said with a smile. Perhaps you should, agreed. She looked out at the stars one last time. Tomorrow she would send a message to Earth. She would tell them the good news. Humanity had joined the galactic community. A new chapter was beginning. The aliens had laughed at Earth's gravity. They had called humans weak. They had underestimated a species that had evolved in a crushing world and learned to stand tall anyway. Now they knew the truth, and they would never make that mistake again. Turned away from the window and walked back toward the crowd. Her heavy footsteps echoed across the platform, leaving tiny cracks in the floor with each step. The aliens parted before her, watching with a mixture of respect and awe. She was small, she was alone, she was human. And she had just changed the galaxy forever.